They left this colossal starship to rot. A human mechanic made it the galaxy's deadliest. Amid that emptiness drifted a massive structure, almost like a small moon, but its edges were sharp and geometric, and its surfaces reflected the faint starlight with a dull metallic sheen. To any alien observer, or even a human explorer, this was a ship abandoned long ago, left to drift without care, forgotten by those who had once commanded it. Jack's Calder floated in the cockpit of his small scout ship, the Tinker's Pride, staring at the enormous silhouette of the derelict vessel. Its sheer size was staggering. Even from a safe distance, he could see the contours of massive engine arrays, hull sections that had long since stopped glowing, and what looked like towers of alien technology protruding from the main body. The ship had been left alone for centuries, or perhaps millennia. No one knew, and it hardly mattered. Jax tightened the strap of his harness. He was not afraid of danger, not in the usual sense. For him, danger was a challenge, a puzzle waiting to be solved. And this ship, abandoned and decaying, was the greatest puzzle he had ever seen. He maneuvered the Tinker's Pride closer, scanning for docking ports. The sensors flickered, picking up strange energy signatures in the deep core of the ship. They were faint, almost like the heartbeat of something alive, but dormant, asleep. Jax's pulse quickened. The thought of awakening this sleeping giant filled him with a mix of excitement and caution. "This is it, old girl," he whispered to his ship, a habit he had formed over years of working alone. "Let's see if we can wake the giant." Docking proved tricky. The hull of the alien ship was jagged, covered with layers of plating, and what appeared to be protective shields that flickered weakly when he approached. Jax's fingers danced over the controls as he navigated past broken scaffolds and crumbling docking bays. Finally, he found a hatch that was large enough for his small shuttle to fit. With a hiss and a clang, the airlock sealed behind him, and he stepped into the cavernous interior of the abandoned vessel. The air inside was stale, filtered through centuries of decay and dust. The lights were dim, flickering erratically, but faint luminescent panels glowed along the walls. Jax marveled at the craftsmanship. Every surface was etched with alien symbols and designs, perfectly aligned, precise in a way human engineering rarely achieved. The structure was not just functional, it was art. He activated his portable scanner, sweeping the room. The readings were strange. There was power here, yes, but it was irregular, almost chaotic. Portions of the ship seemed alive with energy, pulsing faintly under the surface, while others were dead, silent as stone. Jax crouched beside a panel, brushing away dust. His fingers traced the strange inscriptions. "It's a control interface," he muttered. "Not like anything humans have built, but I think I can work with it." Days passed as he explored the ship. Jax set up a temporary workstation in one of the larger chambers, connecting his portable power core to the alien systems. He worked tirelessly, documenting every subsystem he could access. Each discovery was both thrilling and frustrating. The ship's engines were unlike anything he had seen, capable of manipulating energy in ways humans had only theorized. The navigation system seemed to respond to mental input, translating thought into course plotting. Even the repair systems were partially functional, self-healing minor damage with nanoscopic precision. But there were mysteries he could not immediately solve. Some doors refused to open. Some panels sparked dangerously when he touched them. There were hints of ancient weapon systems, but they were locked behind layers of alien logic that Jax could not yet decipher. Still, he pressed on, driven by curiosity and the thrill of the impossible. One evening, while working in the dim glow of the alien ship's control core, Jax paused to look out through a transparent viewport. The stars streaked past as the Tinker's Pride orbited the vessel, tiny against its colossal bulk. He imagined the stories this ship could tell, of civilizations long gone, of wars fought and won, of journeys through the cosmos. He felt a connection to those long-dead engineers. They had built something incredible, and now it was in his hands. Finally, after weeks of careful work, he reached a breakthrough. He had managed to power up a small section of the ship's main systems, a partial awakening, enough to see its potential. Lights flickered to life along the walls, systems hummed, and the dormant energy that had slept for centuries began to flow again. Jax leaned back, wiping sweat from his brow. "Not bad for a human mechanic," he muttered, a smile spreading across his face. "Let's see what you can really do." The awakening caused unexpected reactions. Sensors began to pick up energy fluctuations outside the ship. Small probes, remnants of alien technology, activated automatically and scanned the nearby area. Jax watched in awe as the ship seemed to test itself, calibrating long-dormant systems. It was learning in a way. That night, as he rested in his makeshift quarters, he dreamed of possibilities. A ship like this could travel faster than any human vessel. It could defend itself, not with brute force but with precision and cleverness. And most importantly, it could do things humans had never imagined. By the following week, Jax had managed to restore more of the systems. He had navigational controls functioning, power flowing to major sections, and life support systems humming quietly. The ship was no longer dead. It was alive, responding to his touch and commands. The greatest challenge came when he attempted to interface directly with the ship's command core. He placed his hand on the smooth, cold surface of an alien console. Symbols glowed beneath his fingers, reacting to his thoughts. The system tested him, presenting puzzles and logical sequences that pushed his mind to the limit. Hours passed, but slowly, methodically, Jax worked through them. Finally, the console accepted his input. The ship's systems aligned, and a holographic display flickered to life. It showed star maps, energy grids, and strange symbols representing distant regions of space. Jax could not read all of them, but he understood enough. The ship had capabilities far beyond any human design: near-instantaneous travel, energy manipulation, advanced sensors, and defensive systems that could protect it from threats without firing a single shot. He sat back, exhausted but exhilarated. He had done the impossible. A human, alone and resourceful, had started to awaken a relic of a forgotten galaxy. But even as he celebrated, Jax could not ignore a troubling thought. Other beings, alien civilizations, would surely notice activity on a ship of this magnitude. Some would come out of curiosity, others out of greed. The galaxy might soon be watching. Jax knew one thing: he was ready. Whatever came next, he had a vessel unlike any other, a creation born of human ingenuity and alien genius, and he intended to unlock every secret it held. The first part of his journey ended not with fireworks or battle, but with quiet triumph. A human had stepped into the forgotten corridors of a colossal starship and begun to breathe life into it. The galaxy might have abandoned this ship, but it had not counted on the cleverness and determination of a human mechanic. As the stars stretched endlessly beyond the viewport, Jax whispered to the ship, "Welcome back. We have a lot of work to do." And somewhere deep in the heart of the alien vessel, systems stirred, lights glimmered, and the heartbeat of a once-forgotten giant began to echo across the silent void. The colossal starship hummed quietly in the void, a sleeping giant now partially awakened by Jack's cauldron. For days he had studied its systems, trying to understand what made it tick. Every panel, every console, every glowing symbol seemed alive in its own way. And every day, Jax felt a growing connection to this vessel, a strange respect for the ancient hands that had built it so long ago. He worked tirelessly, using his small human tools, combined with some of the alien instruments he had managed to restore. His fingers traced wires and conduits, adjusting energy flows, carefully balancing systems that had been dormant for centuries. Each adjustment caused a ripple across the ship's core, and the sensors would light up as if the vessel were responding to his touch. "This is incredible," Jax muttered to himself as he checked a newly activated subsystem. They designed this to heal itself, to adjust, to adapt, but it never had a human mind to guide it. One of the first challenges he faced was the ship's navigation system. Unlike human ships, which used charts, stars, and coordinates, this vessel relied on an almost organic system. Paths through space were not plotted with numbers alone. They were interpreted, almost intuitively, as a flow of energy. Jax had to learn to think like the ship, to anticipate how it wanted to move. At first, his attempts were clumsy. The ship would shimmer with energy, hesitate, then redirect itself unexpectedly. But Jax was patient. He spent hours studying the holographic displays, noticing patterns in the alien symbols and testing small maneuvers. Slowly, the ship began to respond more predictably. A thought, a hand movement, even a voice command could influence the controls. The interface was learning him as much as he was learning it. While navigating the ship through the first successful course plots, Jax discovered something unexpected: energy fields within the vessel that could be projected outward. They were defensive systems, designed not to destroy but to confuse and deter intruders. The ship could create illusions of itself, shift light around its hull, and cloak sections entirely. Jax experimented cautiously. He activated a field in a small test area, and a part of the hull vanished before his eyes, as if folded into thin air. He laughed with excitement. They left all this, thinking no one could ever understand it, but here I am. As he continued his exploration, he found the ship's repair systems fascinating. These systems could rebuild themselves, restructure damaged sections, and even adapt to new materials. Jax realized that the ship could integrate human technology into its alien systems. He experimented by connecting parts from his own ship, wiring, sensors, even a small propulsion module. To his amazement, the alien systems adapted, incorporating the foreign elements seamlessly. "This is going to be something else," he whispered. "A hybrid, human and alien." Days turned into weeks. Jax slept in short bursts, living mostly in the vast halls of the starship. He wandered through enormous corridors, each one larger than any building he had ever seen. He marveled at the alien architecture: halls that shifted slightly as he walked, surfaces that glowed softly in response to his presence, and chambers filled with complex machinery that seemed to breathe and pulse with life. One of the most challenging puzzles came in the ship's command core. This central hub contained the logic of the vessel, the protocols, the energy networks, and the systems that could manage everything from life support to interstellar navigation. Panels lit up with intricate symbols, and holographic projections displayed sequences that changed constantly. The core seemed almost sentient, as if testing him before allowing access. Jax spent long hours decoding it. He tried matching symbols, tracing energy lines, and experimenting with sequences. Each attempt carried a risk. A wrong move could disable a subsystem or overload a power conduit. He made mistakes, of course. Sparks flew, systems shut down unexpectedly, alarms chimed. But he learned from each failure. Finally, he succeeded. The command core accepted his input, recognizing him as its operator. A wave of energy pulsed through the ship, more powerful than anything he had ever felt. Lights along the hull brightened, engines thrummed with life, and holographic displays filled the core with information. He could see the star systems around him, energy flows across the galaxy, and paths for travel that humans had never imagined. Jax was not just awake, he was in control, and control was only the beginning. The next challenge was exploration. The ship had internal systems capable of mapping nearby regions, detecting anomalies, and projecting energy in precise ways. Jax realized he could use these abilities not for violence, but for problem-solving, exploration, and innovation. He ran simulations, sending small drones equipped with sensors into nearby asteroids and gas clouds. The ship's systems reacted, adjusting energy shields to protect the drones, guiding them through complex space formations, and analyzing data in real time. "This is amazing," he said, eyes wide. "A human could use this to explore anywhere safely and efficiently." As he tested the ship's energy manipulation systems, Jax discovered one of the most incredible features. The ship could project energy outward to manipulate objects, move debris, and even stabilize dangerous environments. He used it on a nearby asteroid field, shifting small rocks to create a safe corridor. He marveled at how precise it was, almost like moving with a giant invisible hand. Even as he mastered these systems, other challenges arose. The ship was massive, and many areas were still dormant or partially damaged. Some rooms contained old alien machinery that had not been powered for centuries. Jax had to improvise, using parts from his own supplies and clever workarounds to restore functionality. Each success made him feel more connected to the ship, as if it were a partner in his efforts. Weeks passed, and Jax began experimenting with long-range systems. The ship had advanced sensors capable of scanning planets, stars, and energy flows far across the galaxy. With careful calibration, he could detect signals from distant colonies, study asteroid belts, and even observe alien ships without being noticed. This knowledge, combined with the ship's defensive capabilities, made the vessel not a weapon in the traditional sense, but a force to be reckoned with through intelligence and foresight. Despite the magnitude of his achievements, Jax never lost sight of the human element. He marveled at how human creativity could adapt to alien technology. Where the original builders had abandoned this vessel, a single human mind was beginning to unlock its true potential. It was proof in his eyes that humans were not limited by what was already known. They could innovate, adapt, and thrive even with the most complex challenges. One day, as he wandered through the ship's engineering bay, Jax encountered a section previously sealed. Inside were rows of alien energy cores, dormant but intact. They pulsed faintly, waiting for someone to guide their power. Jax carefully connected one of the cores to the ship's systems, testing its output. The energy flowed seamlessly, integrating with the systems he had already restored. "This is incredible," he whispered, staring at the glowing core. "They built something to last forever and it's still here, and now it's mine to use." By this time, Jax had also discovered that the ship had subtle forms of communication with nearby systems. Drones, satellites, even abandoned stations could be interacted with through the ship's network. He used this to repair a small orbital station nearby, rerouting power from the main ship and guiding it with precision. The station came back to life, its systems humming as they had centuries ago. As the weeks turned into months, Jax's mastery of the ship grew. He had transformed it from a decaying relic into a vessel of extraordinary capability. Its defensive systems could cloak the ship entirely, create illusions, and manipulate energy fields. Its navigational systems allowed it to travel vast distances with ease. Its sensors gave him knowledge of the surrounding galaxy unmatched by any human or alien vessel. Yet, Jax did not seek conquest. He was not interested in destroying anything or anyone. His goal was understanding, exploration, and creation. He began to experiment with ways to improve human life, using the ship to solve practical problems, stabilizing asteroid colonies, redirecting energy flows to failing stations, and even helping terraform small moons with controlled energy fields. Through it all, the ship seemed to respond to him as if it recognized his purpose. Systems hummed softly when he approached, lights glowed along paths he walked, and minor repairs happened automatically as he moved through corridors. The vessel was alive in a way, but it was alive with him guiding it, and together they were stronger than either could be alone. By the end of the second part of his journey, Jack stood on the bridge of the Colossal Starship, looking out at the swirling stars and distant galaxies. He had transformed the abandoned relic into a masterpiece of engineering and ingenuity. He smiled, running a hand along the console. "We're ready," he said softly. "Ready for the galaxy, ready to show what humans can do." And somewhere deep within the ship, the core pulsed brighter, responding to the touch and mind of the human who had breathed life back into it. It was no longer abandoned. It was no longer forgotten. It was ready. The colossal starship no longer drifted aimlessly through the void. Its systems hummed with life, powered by centuries-old alien engineering and human ingenuity. Jax Calder had spent months restoring it, learning its language and adapting its technology to human ways. Now, as he stood on the bridge, he understood the full extent of what he had accomplished. The galaxy was watching, not openly, not yet, but subtly. Sensors from nearby colonies picked up unusual energy signatures, while ancient alien probes had begun to circle cautiously, curious about the sudden activity. Rumors spread. A human had awakened the forgotten giant. Some dismissed it as impossible, others felt unease. But Jax didn't care about fear or suspicion. His purpose was clear: to explore, to protect, and to show that human creativity could unlock wonders even the most advanced civilizations had abandoned. He activated the ship's long-range scanners, sweeping nearby star systems. Patterns emerged: energy imbalances, unstable asteroids, abandoned colonies. Many of these places had been neglected for decades, some for centuries. He saw opportunity to use the ship not as a weapon, but as a tool to make life better. His first mission was to assist a small human colony on a moon with a failing atmosphere. The settlement had been struggling to stabilize its climate, and supply ships could only deliver so much. Jax piloted the colossal starship close, activating the energy projection systems he had mastered. Streams of controlled energy flowed outward from the ship, interacting with the moon's atmosphere. Slowly, winds shifted, clouds formed, and the air became breathable. The colonists watched in awe as the massive alien vessel, guided by a human, worked its subtle magic. Children cheered, engineers documented every method, and the colony leaders bowed in respect. "This is what we can do," Jax said to himself, smiling. "Not through violence, but through intelligence and creativity." As the ship's reputation spread, other human colonies began reaching out. Jax assisted in asteroid mining operations, using the ship's manipulation fields to shift debris safely. He stabilized derelict stations, rerouted energy flows, and even helped adjust failing satellites in orbit. Each success amplified the human presence across the galaxy, but not all observers were human. Alien civilizations that had abandoned the ship began to take notice. One by one, scouts arrived, curious about the strange vessel now piloted by a single human. Their ships were far more advanced than anything Jax had seen in human fleets, yet they approached cautiously. Jax anticipated them. Using the ship's cloaking systems and energy projection capabilities, he created subtle illusions, guiding the alien scouts along safe paths, showing them the ship's power without aggression. He wanted them to see that humans were capable of mastering what they had long abandoned, not to challenge them, but to earn respect. The aliens were astounded. Their ancient ship, thought too complex for any species to control, now moved and operated flawlessly under the guidance of a human mechanic. The intelligence of humans, adaptable, creative, and relentless, was undeniable. For the first time, they began to reconsider humanity not as a primitive species, but as a force of ingenuity. Meanwhile, Jax continued to explore the ship's hidden abilities. He discovered that it could store energy in unique ways, project protective fields around colonies, and even repair itself in mid-flight. Small drones extended from the hull, exploring moons and planets, transmitting detailed information back to the ship. He used these capabilities to prevent disasters rather than create them. A nearby star system was unstable, its orbit shifting dangerously close to a mining station. Jax piloted the starship carefully, using gravitational manipulation fields to adjust the orbit slightly, stabilizing the system. The mining station continued its operations without interruption, and no lives were ever at risk. Each action increased the human reputation. Stories of a lone human guiding a colossal alien vessel spread faster than any fleet could. Across the galaxy, beings of all races began to see humans in a new light, resourceful, creative, patient, and wise. Jax didn't fight battles. He didn't conquer planets. He solved problems that no one else could. One day, while scanning distant regions, Jax detected a derelict alien station floating in the dark. Its systems were failing, power nearly gone. Most species would have ignored it, but Jax saw potential. Using the ship's repair drones, he carefully restored power, guided its energy flows, and stabilized the station. Slowly, lights blinked on, engines hummed, and the station began functioning again. "This is what humans can do," Jax said softly, watching the station come back to life. "We take what others discard and make it something new." His efforts didn't go unnoticed by the ship itself. The colossal vessel, once abandoned and dormant, now pulsed with a rhythm that reflected Jax's creativity. Lights brightened as he walked, systems adjusted automatically to his commands, and minor repairs occurred without intervention. The ship had adapted to its human operator as much as he had adapted to it. Together, they were stronger, smarter, and more capable than either alone. The culmination of his work came when an enormous energy storm threatened a cluster of colonies. The storm was powerful, capable of destroying entire habitats. Jax piloted the ship to the edge of the storm, carefully projecting massive energy shields to redirect the destructive flows. The shields shimmered across space, bending the energy harmlessly into empty regions. Colonies were spared and the storm passed without harm. This demonstration cemented the human reputation. Across multiple star systems, aliens and humans alike recognized that ingenuity, not brute force, could shape the future. Jax Calder had turned an abandoned relic into a symbol of human capability. He didn't seek fame, but it followed him anyway. Messages arrived from human colonies, alien councils, and explorers alike, asking for advice, sharing discoveries, or simply marveling at what one human had achieved. Jax responded with humility, sharing only what was safe and encouraging others to innovate and explore. In the quiet moments, he would wander the halls of the ship, marveling at the architecture and systems that had been left to rot. He remembered how it had looked when he first arrived, cold, silent, lifeless. Now it hummed with energy, responsive and alive. It was a testament not only to the genius of its creators, but to the adaptability of humans. Jax had learned something profound. Humans were capable of incredible things, not because of strength or numbers, but because of creativity, persistence, and the courage to explore the unknown. The galaxy had abandoned this starship, thinking it too dangerous, too advanced, or too mysterious. But humanity saw opportunity. Humanity saw potential, and humanity thrived where others hesitated. As he gazed out into the endless stars from the bridge, Jax made a silent promise. He would continue to explore, to restore, to improve, not to conquer, not to dominate, but to show that intelligence and innovation were the true measures of power. And somewhere deep within the colossal vessel, the systems pulsed in agreement. The ship had found its operator, its partner, and its purpose once more. Together, they would travel farther, discover more, and leave a mark on the galaxy unlike anything that had come before. Humans had been underestimated for centuries. Now, Jax Calder and his colossal starship proved that no challenge was too great, no technology too alien, and no obstacle too insurmountable for human ingenuity. The stars stretched endlessly before them, full of unknown worlds, ancient mysteries, and forgotten civilizations. And Jax, a simple human mechanic, guided the greatest starship in the galaxy into a future no one, not alien, not human, not machine, had ever imagined. He smiled, placing his hand on the control console. "Let's see what's out there," he said softly. "The galaxy isn't ready for us, but it will be." And with that, the colossal starship roared to life, engines thrumming, lights blazing, and energy pulsing as it left its derelict past behind. The journey of human mastery, creativity, and courage had only just begun. The abandoned giant was no longer abandoned. The galaxy would never forget what a single human could do.